Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Police Off the Cuff. Oh my God, what did I just say? Did I just say that? Welcome to an episode of the Week in Crime and Policing with Mayo. Maso couldn't be here today. He had a death. One of his co-workers, a retired member of the service that works for him up in Carajo land, wherever he works upstate over there, passed away. So, uh, my heart goes out to his family of the deceased, and hopefully, Angel will be there to comfort them and help them out in whatever way he can. But I promised you guys a show, so I'm here. Can you guys hear me? By the way, I don't know why I feel weird right now. Somebody tell me. Let me know. You can just hear me. I tested everything before. Yeah, Mary Goldstein says, no Angel. How do you think I feel? Yeah. His exact one of the guy's employees just passed away. He's a retired MOS, and this happened not too long ago, about an hour ago. So, as they say in the biz, the show must go on. So I'm here, and I'm happy to see everybody in the chat. So let me just say hello to you guys before I get started. I did my homework. I have some stories. We'll do an abbreviated show for you, and then we'll be back next week. Maui Swift, hello, and thank you for tuning in. Maui Swift, Yahoo to the two M's, well, one M today, are back. Little Mermaid Louisa, happy Monday, everyone. So excited to see my two favorite week in crime policing, gorgeous men, Mark and Angel. Thank you, Louisa. And I see that you have a very active weekend at the Little League fields. And I miss that so much. That was so much a part of my life when my kids were growing up. I was coaching, and then when my son got a little bit older, and he was in high school ball. Those were my favorite times. And I see the field, and I live vicariously through what you're going through. And believe it or not, it goes really, really quick. So take your pictures and be at every game. Rain, sleet, snow, slush. I mean, you're in California. Oh, yeah. Wait a minute. Yeah, you're in California, so you don't have to worry too much about the weather. But in New York, I remember days freezing there, especially in the beginning of the season. Cold rain, and you know what? I wouldn't trade one of those minutes for anything right now. I wish I could be back there. Milwaukee civilian, how glad am I to see you up here, huh? What did you say to Maui Swift? Your appearance here makes it the three M's. There you go. Well, including you, that's four M's, huh? And to Little Mermaid, glad you're in the chat. It's always great to see you. The longtime fans, Jojo. Jojo, what did you share with me this week again? Oh, some history. Jojo was kind enough to share some history about Nevada and Las Vegas. There's apparently a turtle that comes out of, I guess it's, is it a cave? Where do turtles live, right? He comes out every year. This year he was a little late. It's the way they do the gopher back east. And depending on what time the turtle comes out of his hibernation or her hibernation, that's how many days of winter we have left. This year was a little left. It was a little late. It was the latest it's ever been. So I got a good snooze, and I forget whether that was good or bad. I think it was a late start, right, Jojo? But did I miss anybody? Scott Wagner is here early. The Spanish Rose of Harlem. Thank you, Scott, for joining us. I hope you're doing well. Gina G. Hi, Gina G. Let me see anybody else. Tony Vera, TV News. Hi, Tony. Thank you for tuning in. It's good to see you out there. Peter Pranzo, Raquel Pranzo, thank you for motivating me. And, during the week, you guys are always so sweet to me. Whatever I put up, you guys share it and stuff like that. And Louisa does as well. Thank you so much. Terry Lynn Helberg, she says hello to everybody. And did I miss anybody here? I know I miss. Oh, Bill Ryan. Bill Ryan, what's up, buddy? How's it going? Any good cases? You working on anything good? So, um, what do I got for you this week? Well, as you guys know, I moved to Las Vegas, and it's just incredibly beautiful here. I can't I can't talk about how beautiful it is enough. So this weekend, we had a picnic, the annual picnic for the this union that I work for, and afterwards, I took a ride up to Lake Mead, which is not too far from my house, about a half hour away. Lake Mead is about 100 feet shy of water of where it should be, but they're pumping some water into it now. It's stunning. Check out that view. Is that something or what? It's hard to believe that that's a real mountain range, but the white rocks that you see straight ahead beyond that little boat, that's I guess the water would be over that normally. That's about 100 feet up. That's a lot of water to go missing in a lake, but they're putting some new water in it today. I just read an article from somewhere else. Uh, but look at that! Isn't that breathtaking? That landscape. Here's another photo for you. Um, just stunning. And here you could feed some fish. We went to a marina, and you could feed the fish with popcorn. They come right up to you. So it was just a great day, and the sights are beautiful here. Raquel says, check out the Hoover Dam. I will. I will. We only have weekends only come up every 5 days, so I can only do so much. But I'm definitely going to check everything out. It's this has been a wonderful experience, and I'm so happy that I had the cojones to do it. It was perfect timing, and getting out of New York because Angel sent me this. He was going to talk about it, but what is this? Proposed bill would set fines based on income. I mean, for crying out loud, that's the one thing I don't miss at all. There's no traffic cameras here. There's no reliance on getting more money for the city or the state through targeting people, privileged people who own vehicles, who prefer to drive or who have to drive because they don't live in Manhattan. But the idea that we're going to be setting fines. So I would imagine, how does that work? Do you have to go to court for them and to show them how poor you are? So they dismiss the fine, and if so, am I having to take a day off of work just to prove that? What about the make and year of the car? If it was a vehicle summons, a traffic, if I had a 19 or let's say a 2000, Hyundai Elantra, shouldn't the fine be reduced greatly instead of if the same thing was like, I don't know, a 2023 Lamborghini? That to me could make sense, but I don't know how this is going to work or how true it is. It's just something that was in the paper, and it's just New York is constantly, these cities are constantly looking for ways to make their citizens part with money, and to fill up the void of all the people that are fleeing. I read another article about all the people that are fleeing. It's New York, LA is the worst. LA has lost, I don't know, 56. It's in the billions. Maybe New York was 56 billion in the hole, and Las Vegas was more in the hole. Not Las Vegas. Los Angeles was I don't know, over $100 million they've lost since this in the last 3 years, because of people that basically live in a higher tax bracket, fleeing your state because they're just sick and tired of it, and going to other states where, um, they're not getting, where the crime is lower, where they can actually see where their taxpayer dollars are going. So, Yeah, so Scott Wagner says Angels Hellcat will have a target on it. Yeah, well, luckily for Angel, he's out of the city and way up there where it's a lot better. But if you live in the five boroughs, man, that's a tough. It's a tough existence. And then even Long Island, you're better off over there, but much better off than living in the five boroughs. But still, I'm sure there's traffic cameras out there too. There's no traffic cameras here. And you know what? Believe it or not, people still stop for a red light. It's unbelievable. Oh, well, let's see what we got going on here. Peter Pranzo says new football stadium in Vegas. Facebook. Not only do we have a new football stadium here in Vegas, but we also have the A's are coming now, the Oakland A's, which, believe it or not everybody's crazy about because where they're going to be putting the A's stadium is at the end of Sahara, which is at the end of the Strip, what's known as the Strip, which is congested enough, by the way. And the people who live in that area are not happy. They were offered another place several years ago, the A's, to move to for $1. And they didn't want it. That would have been up closer to me by where I live in Henderson. I would have liked to see that because that way I could have gone to the baseball games close to my house, but that's not going to happen. Long Island has plenty of traffic cameras that get you. Yeah, it's a source. It's a revenue source. It'll never, ever go away. And unfortunately, between the parking summonses, the red light summonses, getting pulled over, I don't know, that doesn't happen as much anymore, but it's just a never-ending money grab, man, that, believe it or not, you don't have to live with. So this week's episode, I'm entitling, Thou Shall Not Kill Your Neighbor, because all the stories that I'm covering this week have something to do with killing your neighbor or somebody that's gone on your property. 2 weeks ago, we talked about this story, how a young black musician named Ralph Carr was shot in the head and the arm. Luckily, he survived because he rang the wrong doorbell looking for his siblings. And then, prior to that, a couple of months ago, a 20-year-old woman was shot and killed after her friends turned into the wrong driveway in an upstate New York. They were looking for a party. There were several cars in a caravan pulling into this person's driveway. This man came out. His argument was that they were revving the engines and that he was scared that he was going to be attacked. So he shot at them, and one of the bullets wound up killing this young, beautiful girl. Apparently, I don't know how much of a coincidence it is, but since violent crime is it feels like it's been a tremendous uptick. I'm not really sure about the numbers, but we definitely see it on social media, on our TV, whatever we get our news, we see it constantly. And we're getting stories, violent stories, robberies, kids doing takeovers on blocks, beating people up, beating tourists up in Chicago, in Compton. We covered those stories a couple weeks ago. And maybe it's wearing on us, especially the people that are a little bit older, people my age who own a piece of property and are watching the news daily. Maybe they're not the strongest they've ever been in their life, so they have a weapon or go out and get a weapon just to protect themselves. In this person's case, it looked. Rumor has it that he wasn't the nicest guy in the world as Kevin Monahan, and it was just a matter of time. But these stories, they don't seem to be ending. This guy right here, 79-year-old man, He's what's his name again? I got his name over here somewhere. He killed his neighbor. His name is Itori Lachi. He looks like what was it, Alan Arkin, right? A little bit. This guy's 79 years old, and his neighbor William Marty was 59 years old. William Marty was using his leaf blower. Now, I had to read a couple of stories because one story said in the evening, and I was curious to find out what part of the evening it was. Was it 9 o'clock in the evening? Turns out it was 7:30 in the evening, 7:30 p.m. Um, Nobody should get killed on their property using a lawnmower, regardless of what time of the day it is. But if you were going to get into an argument with somebody about using um, the leaf blower, which they are noisy and annoying, 7:30 at night is a little bit late to be using it. And in my opinion, I don't know about you guys. You guys let me know. So this older man, Notori, went over there and wanted to have a discussion with him. Apparently, they've had a couple of situations in the past. They weren't friendly neighbors. They weren't knocking on each other's door to get some sugar because I ran out. These were two men who didn't like each other. And on this particular day, I guess Notori had enough. And he pulled out a gun and he shot William right in the head, killing him dead right there in his property. It's a horrible story. And along with the next one, I start to question whether these type of situations where somebody would have normally said, if you don't stop, I'm going to call the police. If people don't trust that the police are going to come and help them anymore, because wherever they live, they've defunded the police and there's not that many police anymore, or the police are overwhelmed with serious calls that they're not going to be coming to your job, which is a dispute between neighbors because your neighbor's using a lawnmower. We should be able to have a conversation with our neighbor, to reason with our neighbor, to come to an understanding, an agreement with our neighbor, even if you don't like them personally. Yes, Jojo, all for a leaf blower. But, like if you watch the movie A Bronx Tale, when they say you killed him over a parking spot, it wasn't over a parking spot. Okay? It wasn't over a parking spot, kid. There's more to it. These two neighbors have been at each other. William uh, Marty, the deceased in this situation, um, who knows what he's doing during the day, what time he gets home from work. If 7:30, I don't know. You guys, homeowners, what do you think? Is 7:30 p.m. an appropriate time to be out there with your leaf blower? It's what time is it over here right now? It's 3:19, 3 hours ahead. It's 6:30 over this. Yes, 6:30 over there, right? 6:20. So, what do you guys think about that? You think it's a good idea to be using the leaf blower? 7:30 at night. Milwaukee's video. Our local ordinance says no lawn work after 8 p.m. After 8, but it's no justification for violence. I agree with you. I'm not saying anybody should get into a violent thing. I'm just questioning, are people watching the news, hearing the violence going on everywhere, hearing defund the police, knowing or not trusting that the police are going to be able to come anymore, thinking they have to take things into their own hands? And these are the type of things that happens because it seems like saying I'm going to call the police for a long time, for as long as I've been around, was enough to let somebody know that you were in a disagreement with, that you meant business, that you were serious, I'm going to call the police. Okay. So when somebody said, I'm going to call the police, that's when the argument changed. Okay. Nowadays, somebody says, I'm going to call the police. And the first thing could be out of your mouth is like, go ahead. What are they going to do? They're not going to come here, or they're not going to arrest me. Or even if they do, I'm going to be out. I'm going to get a ticket and come out. There's no ramifications. And people are being forced to take situations like these neighborly disputes into their own hands. Little Mermaid, it wouldn't bother me. My neighbor parties till like 3 a.m. A leaf blower would be okay with me. You are a rare breed, Louisa. Some people who get up from work have to get up from work are light sleepers. Some people who are winding down from their day want to sit on their couch and watch their TV. And then somebody's using the leaf blower outside at 7:30 p.m. Who knows how often they had the same argument, the same conversation. And this guy William Marty, he's deceased, and this guy Ettore, 79 years old. I bet you he wishes he could, do it all over again. But man, he had had enough, obviously, that night. Bill Ryan, I am sure this was something building up for a long time. The leaf blower was the last straw. I agree with you, Bill. That's what I'm saying. Peter Pranzo, be cautious. Confronting someone can lead to sadly death. Yes, and that's why, for as far back as I can remember, people were relying on the police. You got into a beef with your neighbor. You said, I'm not going over there and confronting this person. I don't want to get into a fight with them, but I want this condition corrected. So you'd call the police. The problem now is that calling the police is not available to a lot of people anymore. Depending on where you live, the police may not have the manpower to go and settle these disputes anymore, especially if you live somewhere where they defunded the police, or they've not rehired the police the way they once did. Many states, or not states, but cities that have suffered, like North Carolina, I read this week, have gone on a hiring blitz. Miami has done the opposite. They never defunded the police. They actually went on a blitz, and that's why it's touting that they're one of the safest, with the exception of spring break, they're one of the safest places to live in Florida. Ryan says, yes, he fucked around and he found out he had the scale. I had the scale here 2 weeks ago. The fuck around and find out scale. Yep. Oh, this one's really, really bad too. Here's a situation. A Mexican national. This person right here, his name is Francisco Oropeza. He's 38 years old. He was living in Texas, and he also had a neighbor. He wasn't using a leaf blower, though. This guy was outside shooting an AR-15, which he was known to do every day. And by the way, this guy right here has been deported from this country. He's an illegal alien 4 times on 4 different occasions. The White House, the press secretary today, she addressed this, or maybe it was yesterday. She addressed it, but they never made a mention that this guy was deported 4 times, or that he's an illegal alien. Nonetheless, his neighbors, a Honduran family that live next door. Now, I would imagine these are pretty big properties, because depending on which story that you read, another neighbor said that, oh, he used to shoot the guns all the time. I don't know why he could have just went. If they complained, he could have just went to the other side of his property, which to me means that they're living on pretty big pieces of property over here. If he could have just went and shot up his AR-15, but the Hondurans, this family right here, suffered casualties. All those people are dead right there. 5 people, his women, including a woman and a child. were killed by this man. See, what happened was the neighbor came over, this lady's husband over here. He went over there to confront him. He said, "Listen, I have a baby. The baby's trying to go to sleep. Can you stop shooting?" He didn't go by himself, too, I read. He went with two other males. And Francisco happened to be drinking that day, consuming alcohol and shooting an AR 15. Oh, man. Maybe that wasn't the best day to go and confront him, but he went there with two of his friends and they had some words with Francisco, asking him to stop shooting. Please, my baby's trying to sleep. And they weren't really getting through to him. He was still shooting his AR 15, Francisco. When they walked away, when they got back in the house, the husband told his wife, "Let's go in the back of the house. We'll keep an eye on him just in case, he decides to come over here," which the guy did. And the wife says, "No, no, no, I'll stay. I'll stay here in the front of the house. He's not going to shoot me." One of the things I forgot to mention was that the husband threatened Francisco with calling up the police. "If you don't stop shooting, I'm going to call the police. And if you've been already deported 4 times and now you finally have a good situation with a house and a place where you can shoot your AR-15 and nobody usually bothers you that much, you don't want anybody calling the police." Well, this man went over there and he didn't care uh, that it was a woman. He killed 5 people in that house because somebody was complaining that he was shooting his AR-15 back there. It's a very, very, very sad story, Little Mermaid. It sure is. Milwaukee civilian. Oh, you're still here with us, huh? Let's see. Terry Lynn Helberg. Ugh, this guy was supposedly deported 4 times, I think. What the hell? Yeah, you see, when you fail to mention that in a press briefing from the White House, it becomes very obvious what we're talking about here. Okay? Very, very obvious that this was a problem, that he shouldn't have been here. He was already deported 4 times. Somehow he made it back in. Again, the guy has access or has an AR-15. Well, none of these things should be in the same sentence. Deported 4 times here, shooting an AR-15. They shouldn't be in the same sentence, in the same paragraph, in the same story. And that's why these things are happening. You can't expect people to behave themselves, okay, when they're already breaking the law before they even start. 4 times you got deported? Okay, let's go back to the chat here, see what you guys are talking about. Milwaukee civilian, 20 years ago, I hit my neighbor's mailbox with my car. I told them, paid for it, and apologized. No violence. Everyone was happy. Well, consider yourself lucky. Now, I don't know whether you hit the guy's mailbox on purpose or how many times you hit it, but I'm trying to think of a mailbox joke. It's not coming to me. Milwaukee civilian hitting people's mailbox. Just don't hit my mailbox. Copy? He's so funny, Milwaukee civilian. Bill Ryan, I am sure that this was something building up. We covered that. Yeah, light sleeper. Yes, there is this. Jojo said, "Isn't he still on the run?" There's a massive manhunt. There was a possible sighting, 2 sightings today. One of them didn't. They were both checked out. Neither one of them turned out. They didn't find the person that was kind of sort of walking on the side of the woods, the way somebody who's coming out of the woods would. But yeah, so far they haven't caught him. Who knows how many friends he has in the neighborhood. It sounds like somebody's probably harboring him. But to kill a whole family is just, man, that's horrible. It's so sad. Gina G. I don't know what that means. Gina said Bill is filling in for Angel. What does that mean? Let me see. Mhm. Gina G says Mark, a DoorDash driver, was killed last week here in Florida. I read about that. Yes, that was. I think we might have talked about that, or it happened right after. Oh, we didn't have the episode last week. That's true. I did have that as one of my stories. Last delivery for him, and he never made it home to his wife and kids, just making an extra money for his family. That is one of the saddest stories. And they dismembered his body. Gina G. That's something that I read today. That poor guy, like you said, making some extra money for his family, um, was killed in that fashion. It just, I mean, it's crazy, man. You know, and these type of stories, like how many people are delivering for DoorDash around the country on a daily basis? You're talking about thousands of people, and obviously this is not the norm, but it was his last delivery of the night too. I remember them saying, "Yeah, you wrote that last delivery of the night." Mark, these stories seem to be weighing on you. You must have a very humane police officer. Yeah, yeah. I guess I have a conscience. That's funny that you mentioned that. That they weigh on me, and that's the reason probably why I never wanted to really do true crime. I retired from the police department for a reason. I wanted to live in my bubble. I didn't want to have anything associated with doing investigations about serious stuff. We cover serious stories here. I always try to, if you ever noticed, end the show on funny. But it's also like just doing the investigation. Like if you're without a case, you have to. If you're doing like what Bill does, uh, you basically have to do the whole case yourself, and you have to constantly read up on it. And I didn't want my brain in that place anymore. That's not my personality. I'm a happy-go-lucky guy. So yeah, so that's the reason why I never dove into that. But the stories, yeah, how could they not weigh on you? Peter Pranzo, tough neighborhood, hammer for the for sale sign, and depart quickly. Let me see. Mark, were you surprised about Eric Adams actually standing up for the police to Bill Ryan? I had that. I'm gonna. That's one of the closing things I'm gonna talk about. Bill, I have that little clip, and but right now we're talking about this whole line of stories that I have. There's not that many left. Just about thou shalt not kill your neighbor. Peter Pranzo, marry a lot of those nuts out there. It's a thin line. Mary says, I know people like that aren't right in the head, but I don't know how anyone lives with themselves after doing something like that. Yeah, I don't know if they live with themselves. Usually they live with a whole bunch of other people in a place that's surrounded by bars and fences and barbed wire fences and dogs and correction officers making sure they don't get out. That's what usually happens there. And yeah, these poor family. More bad news. This isn't this has happened in a home. This is a house party that happened on a day where there was a prom going on. These teenagers, they missed the prom. They decided to have their own party at a house in Mississippi. And this boy here named Cameron Everett, for some reason, opened fired. Shot six people, killed two of them. He's 19 years old. The other people that were there were between 15 and 18 years old. I still have yet to read a motive. I don't know if somebody else has seen it, but I don't understand what's going on with these kids with the guns. Who knows what the problem is? Does anybody know out there? I read this 3 or 4 articles on this, and not one person has mentioned the motive yet. Uh, I don't know. We also haven't seen yet. I read an article that said that the manifesto from the last shooter was going to come out, the transgender, but so far we haven't seen that. And last but not least, on our neighborly stories, this one happened a couple of years ago, actually. A Southern California man has finally been found guilty of killing three people after a doorbell prank. What these kids did, this is in Southern California, what these kids did was they did the old fashioned ring and run, but they stuck around a little bit longer and mooned them. So they were driving around, these teenagers, three of them in a car, and they decided to, it was a bet. It was like either two things. And I guess one of the kids picked the ring and run. So they did it to this guy. Well, this guy wasn't in the mood for it that day. So after these kids took off in their car, he jumped in his car and chased after them like a maniac. And I guess the kids got scared, so they started driving faster, and he started driving faster until he got right behind him, and he fishtailed him, and they flew off the road and hit that tree, and all three of them died. And this is the guy right here. He's been found guilty. So he's going to be spending 20 years behind bars at least. And innocent enough. We used to play ring and run when I was a kid. I remember that. And we were much younger. These kids, they were like 16 to 18 years old playing this game. I don't know what they were doing at that age. When we were playing ring and run, we were like, I don't know, 10 years old, 8 to 10 years old. Anybody ever play ring and run? Ring somebody's doorbell and take off? Oh, lucky civilian. Geez, after what I did as a kid, I'm lucky I haven't been killed 30 times over. Yeah, we had a couple of characters in my neighborhood. One guy used to ride a bicycle. He was a Greek guy. He had a black bike with these, and he looked, even though he was a man, he looked like from the Wizard of Oz, the Wicked Witch. And we used to, when he used to ride by us, we used to go, and for some reason, that used to piss this guy off, man. He probably didn't even know it was from the Wizard of Oz that we would just do that, but that was our name for him. And so whenever we see them, we're like, "Oh, did you? I got chased by and today." And he used to chase us. And one day, man, he caught me, man. And luckily, he didn't have his footing on his bike, and I was able to tear out of his grasp. He grabbed me around the collar, and I booked it home, man. But I don't know what he was going to do to me. He definitely would have hit me because people were allowed to hit the kids back then, no problem. Just find a kid, hit him, grab him, whatever you want to do to kids back then. It was a different world. But that was his name. Yeah, Peter Prenzler says they're dragging their feet in releasing the Killer's Manifesto. Religious overtones? Yeah, I don't know what it is. I mean, at some point it's got to come out. There's no matter when it comes out, it's not like you release it on a Friday and nobody's going to bother reading it. All it's going to be is, and that's the world that we live in right now, is when things happen. What are we looking for? We're looking for, you know, who did it? Which side are they on politically? And that makes us feel better when it's one of them and not us. Death is death. It's so silly that we have politicized everything that happens. All these things that happen in our society, like these killings, for example. We found out as a transgender, it's like, oh, good, one for us. They're not going to say it's the guns again, even though they said it was the guns. Oh. Mary Goldstein, funny. My coworker sings that songs when I fly by. I mean, walk by their office. Angel's not here to defend you, Mary. So I say, haha. All right. I promised you an abbreviated episode, and I mean it, damn it. We're almost at the. We got a couple more. This is an interesting one because a couple weeks ago there was a whistleblower that came out, and she's still testifying right now. And these whistleblowers, they're promised to me like a promise that the government would take care of them, but it's not really working out for this guy. This guy, he was working for Trump's. Well, it's not Trump's. Trump's and put his name on his the way he did with all the buildings. It's called Truth Social. It's a conservative app that you can get a conservative take on the news of the day, and that's where Trump does his tweeting now, or what used to be tweeting. And it's Truth Social. Well, this guy was an executive there apparently, and he didn't like what was transpiring. What was his problem? Um, I forget what it was that bothered him about what was going on in this Truth Social. Um, he gave 150,000 emails to somebody, which would annoy me. I mean, give me one good email. Save the 149,099. Just give me one good one. And he came out as a whistleblower, and since then, this guy's 38 years old. He's only 38 years old, by the way. He was making six figures. Now he can't find a job to save his life, so he's working at Starbucks as a barista for $16 an hour. There's another word for whistleblower. It's called rat. And you might be telling the whole world really, really things they need to hear, but am I going to hire you as a whistleblower? Probably not. I mean, who knows what you're going to dig up for my company that I own? And yeah, I think whistleblowers deserve a little bit better than this guy, but I have a feeling like this guy was just, he really felt like he was going to be welcomed into the club because he did something to Trump, and it wound up backfiring. Like a lot of people that went after Trump early on, in the middle of the presidency, at the end, still now, there's people that are out there. They want to make a name for themselves using that Trump name and trying to bury him. And this is the latest guy who he's not doing so well right now. He says he likes the job, but that's until his money runs out. What's so funny, Jojo? Mark said, Mark, that is so funny. I agree. MC Mark, sing us a song. All right. So, yeah, that's so much for the whistleblower. Imagine that. Imagine you had a six-figure job. These people are so stupid. I mean, if I was making, I don't know, I'm trying to think. Let's just say I'm trying to think of what an executive at Truth Social could make. It's got to be 200 grand. It has to be. Where is he with the other three idiots? Look at him. Well, first of all, the other guys look like they're kicking him out of the building, don't they? Like you've been asked to leave. Don't they look like just regular, like FBI agents or something like that, where they're actually escorting him out? Remember Eddie Murphy when he gets tossed out of the window, and what was it called? Beverly Hills Cop. Those are the three guys that kicked him, threw him out the window. Now they do. Remember that scene? Well, they're throwing this guy out. In Greek, they have a word for a guy like this. It's called malaka. Imagine you come home, you tell your wife, looking at this guy, I doubt he's married, but you have to tell your wife, yeah, I lost my job today. What do you mean you lost your job today? What happened? They downsized? You got laid off? No, no, no. I decided to become a whistleblower. I wanted to tell on Donald Trump because I don't like the way they're running the company. You mean the guy who's paying you $250,000? That guy? There you go. I hope you feel good. Hey, listen, money's not everything, right? Milwaukee Civilian says we don't want abbreviated episodes. We want what we're paying for it. Damn it. Thank you, Milwaukee civilian. You're cheering me up. Uh, my Mondays are free for the next 6 months. Oh, they are good. All right. Well, hopefully Angel will be back next week, and we can pick up where we left off. Let's see what else we got for you. I think we got one more. Usually, I like to end on the dumbest criminals, right? And this guy, he's the dumbest criminal this week. $3 million in fentanyl shipment to Maine restaurant prompts arrest. This guy right now, the guy that you see his face, he was expecting a $3 million worth of fentanyl to be delivered to him. I don't know whether he sent it to the restaurant on purpose or it went to the wrong address, but it came in a crate, a small crate. When the restaurant received this package and they opened it up, they knew it wasn't for them. And they called the police. Well, the police lay in wait for somebody. Maybe somebody's going to show up. Let us know if somebody shows up to collect the crate. And sure enough, this idiot showed up. And I don't know. I could just imagine the conversation going like this. Yeah, hey, what's up? You know what? I'm going to have a cup of coffee, light and sweet, please. Could I get that to go? And by the way, you didn't happen to receive a crate, about this big and had a whole bunch of pills in there, did you? Some fentanyl, huh? And the guy's like, you know what? As a matter of fact, we did. We have somebody's holding it. Let me get in touch because we didn't know what to do with it, so we gave it to somebody to hold on to it just in case he came by. And then the next thing you know, the police show up, and this guy's standing there waiting for it. Yep. So I have a question to ask you: who's the biggest malaka? This guy or this guy? You guys, let me know. Who's going to be the malaka of the week? I'll sit and wait. Ryan Investigative Group. He likes malaka. Malaka is a great word. It's so descriptive. If you know, I grew up around Greeks. It's one of these words where, it's like the F word, Many cultures of, other languages started saying the F word. It's just a great word. It covers a lot. Means a lot. Malaka is like that. You could be at a party, and if I said to you, look at that malaka over there, and you looked over, you'd be able to spot the malaka right away. They just stick out like a sore thumb. Let's see, what do we got here? In the next town over, they've been finding tons of fentanyl at traffic stops. I think one was like $5 million street value. It's so crazy. Yeah, I don't know where they get these figures from. I really don't. I know a lot about drugs, but fentanyl is one thing that escapes me. I don't know why it's even in existence. I don't know. It's cheap. Is it like meth? Nobody can explain to me why you'd cut coke with fentanyl and then people die. They go to buy cocaine and then instead they're snorting it and they cut it with fentanyl and then they put too much, that person dies. I just don't understand where the fentanyl's coming from. Is it a conspiracy to kill off drug users? Are we overpopulated on the planet? Is that one theory I've heard? Because it seems to be coming in here in truckloads. And it seems to be showing up in restaurants unannounced. So Ryan says number 2. You think he's a bigger malaka, huh? I don't know, man. I'm going to go with Mr. Truth Social. I'm going to go with it. And I tell you why. Because the guy who's on the hook for that $3 million worth of fentanyl, if by chance he gave the wrong address, sure, he's a malaka because he gave him the wrong address. If he gave the restaurant address because he thought his friend working there would be able to hold the crate for him, and then that guy got fired, didn't show up that day, and that's when the crate showed up. He thought everything was copacetic. This guy's a drug dealer. Okay, he's expecting jail. But this guy over here, who's probably an educated job to be an executive at a social media conglomerate, to give up his job just to go after another man who's never done anything wrong to him that I know of. Maybe you don't like the guy's politics, but man, he just lost a job and you're not getting another one anytime soon. That I'm going with Truth Social guy. Um, Peter Prawn says China silently killing us, disease and drugs so far. And how about train derailments? I mean, I don't know whether it's just because we have access to social media so much now, but I don't remember hearing about train derailments as often as I do now. I don't remember ever hearing about one that I can recall, and yet every week now I see another train derailment. Milwaukee civilian says maybe Trump made him some campaign promises that he didn't keep. I don't know. I don't know. Um, I know you're joking, but Milwaukee civilian, but Trump is there in name only as far as with True Social. They developed the whole site, probably hoping that they can lure him in, and then it worked out after he got booted from Twitter, and he actually got back on Twitter now. But he's decided not to go back on Twitter. He's using Truth Social. I just don't. When people lose a job like those two lawyers, they went through the bother of going through law school and getting educated and passing the bar, and then you throw Molotov cocktails um, because you're mad at the police. And your whole at that point right now, you get disbarred, you do jail time, and all the money that you wasted on college. That is whew, that those type of people kill me. You figure you spend so much time working hard, you know, you're not going to give it up on an impulse over something that really is not affecting me. Okay, Jojo, I think the train, it's because they overwork. You think they're overworking the train people? Is that what you think? I don't know. Maybe you're right. I just don't remember hearing. I just don't remember hearing about the derailments as often as we're hearing about it now. What am I passing over? I hope I'm not passing over anything. Let me see. Jojo can't make that stuff up. Where is Jojo? Hmm. Just look it up. Malakas is a commonly used profane Greek slang word with a variety of different meanings, but literally meaning man who masturbates. Well, I know the Greek term for masturbates. Uh, I know the term for in every language for a man who masturbates. That's how I introduce myself. No, but it might be that in the that might be the definition, the real definition. But I just know it's a slang term in the Greek language, and it usually means we're talking about an idiot, somebody who did really something stupid. Um, I never actually heard the masturbates one, but maybe you could be right. But I know a lot of Malakas. I grew up around a lot of Malakas. So Milwaukeesville in China, everything bad for America comes from China. Imagine that being said by a grumpy middle-aged man. Archie Bunker. Jojo, oh my God. LOL, Raquel. China silently killing us. Yeah, I read that one already. Where are we? Raquel, let me see. Where are we? Do they really overwork the train conductors? I don't know. I don't know how much a conductor actually has to do with derailments. I think they pretty much if they're only there, like God forbid, it's an emergency stop. I really don't know how much conducting they do anymore. Um, let's see. Where are we? Well, look, we almost made the hour. Mhm. In the UK, we would say look at that W. Uh, I guess anchor, wanker. Oh yeah, there. That's funny. The wanker. Yeah, that's a big one, wanker. And you also use the c word in a different word over the English too. It's not such a negative connotation as it is over here, or the way we use it over here, usually referring to a female, not really a male so much. Over there in the UK, I have a feeling like it's often used to describe a male that is not living up to par to your manly standards. I think the tracks are overused. At least that's what some stories have said in Wisconsin. Maybe that's true too. I don't know, man. It just seems shady that last week or 2 weeks ago, there was a derailment where not only did it derail, but the train cars went in the water in the local river there. All right, so let me see. Do we have anything else? I think that's it. We I showed you the pictures up front, and we covered the stories. Like I said, this week was "Thou shalt not kill thy neighbor" episode, and folks. Oh, Bill Ryan brought up one thing. I'll play this video for you. Eric Adams, for what it's worth, seems to get along with his press really, really well. I mean, this guy has a ball talking. I watched a few minutes of what I'm going to show you. But in this particular occasion, he actually defended the police, the NYPD, in regards to overtime. So let's take a look at this video, and you know, this is for Peter Pranzo and Bill Ryan. This is actually the first time in a long time that I agree with.
Times because I hear a lot of people. I was talking to some city council members the other day, and they was talking to me about NYPD's overtime. NYPD's overtime. And so I said, is it that you dislike overtime or you dislike the NYPD? Because I never hear them talk about overtime in any other agencies. We have overtime in all the agencies. I have overtime, but no one gets riled up with overtime in parks, overtime in HRA. No one gets riled up in overtime anywhere else but the New York City Police Department. Now, if I were to go to you and say, give me the number to H&H, you'll scratch your head. If I said, give me the numbers to HRA, give me the number to parks, you scratch your head. But all of you know the number to the police. You all know 911. So the agency that starts its day of saying, I may not come home tonight. The only agency in this city that if gunshots go off, they're required to go respond towards it and not run away from it. The only agency that if there's a bomb placed somewhere, they have to go and detonate it. The only agency that no matter what happens can never turn its back. We all focus on them. That's all we focus on in NYPD. So is it anti-overtime or is it anti-police? And if it's anti-police, shame on us. Shame on us. And it's
Well, let me see. Shoot. Like I said, that's the first time in a long time that I couldn't agree with him wholeheartedly. I think that these overtime numbers, I never really understood it either, because just because somebody is making a lot of money making overtime doesn't mean they're cheating the system at all. If you're working past the time that you're supposed to be working because you have an arrest or because you're part of an investigation or whatever it is, you're writing summonses, you're working. To me, it's only bad if you're on overtime and you're not doing anything. You're home with your family, or maybe you went out drinking on overtime. That's bad because that's you're stealing the city's money. You're stealing taxpayers' money. But if you're working for the money, I don't understand why that would annoy people. Every year, the city newspapers go out of their way to show you an overtime list of who is the highest in overtime. Like we should go after that person for making the most amount of overtime. That person worked those hours, sometimes maybe against their will. Maybe they wanted to go home. Maybe they had something else to do, but nobody else wanted to do it, and they stuck around and they did it. So why are we putting these people down that are making overtime is beyond me. But thank you, Eric Adams, for finally sticking up for us. And um, Blackheart, yes, that is correct. The C word is anyone and used a lot. Peter Pranzo, Ryan investigate. I nearly fell down when I saw that. Yeah, I was surprised too. Listen, he had his moment right there, and he made a lot of sense. You know, these reporters ask these questions, and I think it's a lot of the questions that the reporters are asking now, especially nowadays, are just trigger questions. You know, they just want to annoy people. Whoever's at the podium, they just want to ask him something to get him riled because that's what makes sound bites. And look, they got him annoyed, but they did it. He was actually in a good mood that day, so he answered them. They got their sound bite. It's a good one. And this on this particular sound bite, it went in favor of law enforcement and NYPD. All right, folks, you helped me, man. You helped me so much today. Helped me get to the hour, and it flew by, which is just amazing. You guys are so great. Hopefully, Angel will be back next week, and we can pick up where we left off. And to his friend, his coworker that passed away, um, keep their family in your prayers. That being said, I just want to say goodbye to you people that joined me today: Peter Pranzo, Raquel Pranzo, Bill Ryan, JoJo, Milwaukee Civilian, Louisa, Little Mermaid, Mary Goldstein. Wait a minute. I don't want to forget anybody. I know I'm forgetting somebody. Gina G. I don't know if you're still here with us, Gina G, but thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Terry Lynn Helberg and the Black Hand. Black Hand is somebody new, but it definitely helped lighten it up a bit. Some funny jokes there. So, on behalf of the Week in Crime and Policing, thanks for tuning in, and I'm going to work hard to bring you another great episode next week. Until then, be well, my friends. God bless you, and enjoy the week. All the best. Bye bye.